technology creates too many sides or facets of imagination for nature conservation. Technology makes us realize issues, and these issues, once realized, need addressing. And technology can play its role in this process of addressing these issues. And we've set for this forum a very specific panel discussion. Let's take a look at a short video footage to understand the issues that we need to focus on today.
本月3号呢，云南南昌县2名巡象员在巡逻当中被象群围攻。
Two researchers were attacked by a cluster of elephants. In the recent 7 years, elephants have caused harms to over 170 people, more than in the past 20 years. Just now, Dr. Wang mentioned the raccoon dog. His experience in Shanghai didn't happen only in this year, but it's a small animal, so people tend to overlook it. But elephants, the largest land animal right now on the earth, its conflict with human beings are no longer overlooked. In Sepsompana rainforest in Yunnan province, there have been over 300 wild Asian elephants. And in the past half a century, during urban construction and rapid expansion of rural areas, they have lost most of their habitat, and what's remained are overlapped with human areas. So some elephants would frequently walk into the villages or urban settings to cause problems, as well as damages and losses to people's life and wealth, and have been now regarded as a threat to more and more people, by more and more people. Now I would like to invite some panelists to join our discussion to offer us their considerations and constructions about such conflicts between elephants and human beings. Let's invite UNDP Senior Advisor of UN CAFI GDFA China Program, Ms. Kelly Yu. UNDP Deputy Resident Representative in China, Mr. Devanand Ramiah. General Manager of Ant Group Social Good Department, Mr. Xu Di. IUCN China Program Manager, Mr. Zhang Cheng. Greetings to all four panelists. I think the video we just shown had somewhat disrupted our impression about elephants. We thought it to be very mild and friendly, but now the conflict between elephants and humans have caused sacrifices of lives for both sides. Asian elephants are distributed across multiple countries in Southern Asia. Do they have similar problem in other Asian countries? Or what kind of solutions they have in those countries? Mr. Devan, could you please share with us?
So it's a pleasure to be here and join the panel with my esteemed fellow panelists. The session that we today have is to look at whether technological solutions can address human-wildlife conflicts. And I actually would like to flip the question before I answer what you're asking me, is that The question that we need to ask is, can technology solutions address why there is human-wildlife conflict? Can we prevent it before addressing? So, because the human-wildlife conflict is a symptom, it's not the root cause. The root cause is because of biodiversity loss. We heard the first few of the keynote speakers. It's about poverty. It is about loss of habitat. So there are lots of other things that technological solutions can provide input, which will help address the human-wildlife conflict. Now, of course, I come from Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is a country, it's also known for human-wildlife conflicts. We have, especially in terms of the elephants, the biggest challenge is that elephants are fragmentation and loss of habitat is the reason that elephants are outside of their protected areas. And that leads to conflict with farmers, with others who are in the periphery of the protected areas in terms of humans. And that is between 1991 to 2000, there was almost 2,500 elephants killed in Sri Lanka by farmers, and almost 1,300 farmers killed by elephants. So it is a big conflict, and now, of course, we have found ways of addressing it. But I want to just stop by saying that is the key point. There was a UN Intergovernmental Science Biodiversity report that came out in 2019. It shows since 2080, 75% of the terrestrial environment has been severely altered by human behavior. And there's almost 1 million species that is at the threat of extinction. Mm-hmm. And that is the fundamental problem. We as humans need to treat nature better. And that would help us deal with some of these things. Oh, thank you.
好，谢谢戴蒙德先生。
Thank you very much, Mr. Devanand. So, to solve the question, we must analyze the root cause behind it. In Sipsong-Pana, the conflict between elephants and human beings are getting serious in recent years and has its own characteristics. The ant group had been visiting and inspecting the situations in Sipsong-Pana, designing the buffer measures and take actions. Now, could you share with us what have you discovered and what plans do you have, Mr. Xu Di? Thank you, Mr. Wang Dezhi. I have visited Sipsong-Pana several months ago to inspect the situation there. There, I had really given it lots of thoughts. The essence of this conflict is the problem of land. Elephants used to live there, but due to the economic expansions of human beings, their habitats are now shrinked, and that's the root cause to these conflicts. So we started thinking, how do we solve this problem, or at least to alleviate it from the basic perspective? We have a product called the ant forest. We have over 550 million users taking actions. So we were thinking about putting it together with our elephants protection project to attract more people in the preservation of elephants. I believe more people taking actions, more people paying attention to it, we will have a stronger influence, which would introduce more resources into it and cause essential changes. And that's quite important. But on the other hand, we have been taking technological measures to use collars to track the elephants and create warnings before the elephants even arrive to relieve or reduce damages in local areas. Thank you very much. Preserving species, solving the conflicts between elephants and human beings is all about solving the problem of the habitat. Using ant forests to solve the problems of habitat is one way. And Mr. Xu, what do you think about it? What's your perspective on taking such actions? Thank you, Mr. Wang. As a intensive user for ant forest, I think I'm really thrilled to hear there are new preservation land in this product. For IUCN, we started as an organization to preserve species as an international public welfare organization, but we have come to realize that protecting the species are not enough. Protecting the habitat must be part of our work as well. So protecting the wild Asian elephants, in terms of the SIPSOM panel, we have some monitoring about the abnormal death of the Asian elephants. Conflicts between human beings and them is only one part of it, and there are other special causes to their death as well. The expansion of the habitat of human beings caused the habitat of the elephants to be shrunk and reduced. We have a case this year, an Asian elephant touches the high voltage cable and was electrocuted, a tragedy we wouldn't like seeing. In the aspect of habitats, I think the most effective way is to create natural preservation areas. We have those natural parks being constructed across the entire nation with a established system. But apart from that, we have the forces oriented by the civil forces as well, including the public welfare organizations such as Paradise Foundation. But construction is only a part of it. Management is another. Just now, IUCN Director General have talked about our green lists. We wish to bring more better cases into this green list so that we would be able to know how should we deal with it or what we can learn from them. And speaking about some action that everyone can take, I'd like to use the example of that product, ant forest. Just now, the Director General have also mentioned the result of ant forest. For the 4 years, the result had been evaluated. I'd like to introduce the result of that evaluation to you today, the midterm evaluation. Now you see over 550 million Chinese netizens have participated in it and planted real trees in a number of 223 million. If those trees could grow naturally, in the next years, these forests would bring such a huge value that's ever even growing in the next years. When all of the plantation becomes mature, the GEP, the ecosystem production value would surpass 11.18 billion yuan. What's GEP? It's different from GDP, but a similar concept when it comes to ecosystems. We use ecosystems, we use GEP to evaluate its function and impact on ecosystems, considering all of its value, including providing services, adjusting services, and cultural services. For example, a piece of forest can provide us with fiber, materials, fruits, and the fiber products of it, but also creates other adjusting services, such as adjusting the quality of the water, the air, etc. And also there are cultural services that a forest can give us. Once we finish the planting a forest, we have that sense of achievement. It's part of it. And people taking a trip into those areas would like to see a forest planted by the ant forest product users. And we smell that clean air and clean water. We enjoy it, abundant foods and fruits. But there are also social products that we could get from it. Vital soil is also a part of it. All these are welfares that could be provided with a high GEP thing. I'd like to give you another example. We say sometimes, well, I've tried to visit the bookstore downstairs at my home, but it's closed. It's just like the species we can still find these days on this globe. If we don't care about it, they will cease to exist in the future. Not only Asian elephants, but also forests and more species that needs our protection. Thank you, Mr. Zhang Chen. I think this solvation of any problem, at the end, it's not only about that problem, it's about the coexistence, which is harmonious between human beings and nature. Now let's bring the topic back. When it comes to protecting Asian elephants, we know that protecting African elephants were much earlier. So what can we learn from it? Kelly, please tell us about it. Thank you. Today we're discussing about the protection about Asian elephants, and I'd like to offer a different perspective by introducing to you the experience we had about protecting African elephants. Let's take a look at the screen. The topic of this slide is protecting the Central African forest, saving the African forest elephant. From the UN's Central African Forest Initiative started in 2015 by founding a trust foundation. The target is to protect the rainforests in Central African areas. The way we hear about it, we thought it's really remote, far away. We don't know what kind of concept it is. Let me tell you some figures. There are 6 countries in Central Africa, and the area of rainforests covered 90% of all rainforests on the entire African continent. And the carbon absorbed and stored by the Central African rainforests is 15% of all carbon emitted by human beings on this globe. So it is such a vital part in solving the carbon emission problems overall. We know that the Amazon rainforest is the biggest on Earth. We call it the lung of the Earth, and Central African rainforest is like the second largest lung of it because of its tall and high trees. It absorbs carbon dioxide in such a high capacity with more efficiency, and that's why the UN started with this initiative to protect Central African forests. In the past years, $500 million had been invested, and over 200 million have been devoted into real projects and actions. And the elephants on this earth lives either in Africa or Asia. I'd like to tell you about the African elephants. The biggest problem to it is because of the teeth of the elephants are retrieved by the poachers. Only the male ones have such ones in Asian elephants, but for the African elephants, they have larger ivory teeth. Each pair of it weighs 6 to 8 kilograms. In Gabon, this country in Central Africa, every month, over 2 tons of ivory were poached. I said one ivory product is 6 to 8 kilograms. That means every month 150 elephants were killed, and that means 1,800 elephants per year were killed. And just now we said over 300 elephants were here in Asia areas, and African elephants had a larger number, but also killed in a bigger quantity as well. Over 90% of the African elephants were killed in the past 5 years because of ivory. And since China had prohibited the trade of ivory products, the number have started to decline. We say it's a positive impact we have made. But on the other hand, these illegal hunting activities were still happening, like in Gabon. More than 1,800 elephants being killed each year is still happening due to the poverty in those areas. Please take a look at this slide. Here we say the initiative. It mainly focuses on protecting the rainforests, which is protecting the habitat of the elephants so that they have a better living condition. On the other hand, our climate change is causing problems to the elephants as well because there have been less fruits in the forests. The elephants are starving. The climate change we caused by human beings have also threats or given threats to the elephants. The weight, the length of the elephants have been reduced over the past years. the correlation between human being activities and elephants are such a complicated matter. If we could better protect the rainforests, improve the ecosystems, the elephants would have a better habitat, and the ecosystem and the biodiversity would all be better, including absorbing carbon dioxide. The overall would be much better. I'll give you one example about technological application. In Gabon and in Congo, in those rainforest areas, drones and high-resolution satellite images we used to support monitoring over the forest. The speaker from Microsoft said they used to be not able to react fast, but with these technologies, monitoring becomes more efficient and even provides warning signals once it discovers potential damages or destructions to the local forests. They would send that image and warning directly to the local government, who can take immediate actions. And just now we have talked about the national parks. There have been illegal gold mining activities in Gabon's national park. Some individuals were there doing the mining illegally. On one hand, it causes damage to the preservation area, but also threatens the living and survival of the elephants. And CAFI have supported the creation of 3 sanctuaries for elephants as well as other species. Speaking about conflicts between elephants and human beings, well, the destruction of the rural farmlands and causing problems to the lives of the farmers, and reversely, people harms the elephants. That's what happened here in Asia. And we found an interesting solution in African continents, is that we set up electrical fences to prevent the elephants from entering farmlands, so that the elephants wouldn't set foot in the human activity areas, so they are less likely to be harmed. These are the perspectives that we believe protecting Asian elephants could learn from. And lastly, I would like to say that ant forests have given us a great inspiration, and we hope to work together with the Chinese users and the consumers by leveraging platforms like ant forests. We wish to improve the protecting of the species such as African elephants, as well as the African rainforests. Let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists.